Enzo Maresca's Chelsea are different.
Oh, magnificent! That's what he's about. Estevao is a shining star.
As I've stated multiple times before, this club has the ability that on any given day, they can beat anybody.
And what they are is a team full of pace, tenacity, skill, attacking flair. They can beat anybody on the day.
We've already seen it on so many different occasions. The obvious one is what they did to PSG in the Club World Cup final. That was the most informed team in the world. They had beaten everybody in the Champions League, where they had put 5 goals past Inter Milan. They had obviously destroyed everybody in the Uber Eats. They had multiple Ballon d'Or contenders and the eventual winner, and yet Chelsea completely outclassed them. Like, it wasn't some lucky win. It was complete dominance. In that game, Cole Palmer looked like he should have won the Ballon d'Or. And that's why when you praise this Chelsea team, I feel like you have to start with Enzo Maresca. Now, maybe there are still some Chelsea fans who are unsure about this guy, but I feel like he has so much credit in the bank. In his first season, he won 2 trophies. Now, yes, the Conference League trophy is not necessarily the most prestigious one, but you still have to win it. And I think he's done a great job in terms of rotation and developing this team further. Pretty much almost every single player has gotten better under him. Naturally, he's very good with the young players, and that's probably one of the biggest reasons that he was brought in, because his experience with the City Academy means he knows how to get the best out of these guys. As we will see, I think what he's done with Estevao has been unbelievable. Gradually bringing this guy in, and now he's had his biggest moments already.
So they need to adapt slowly. He's doing fantastic. He's working well when we give him the chance. He's doing well, and this is something that he has to just to continue to play football, enjoy, and again, it's another talent from this club.
But with Maresca, a lot of people criticize the fact that he rotates the team a lot, but when you look at this season, he didn't have a choice. So many injuries and then the suspensions. I mean, everybody at one point was getting a red card, whether it was Joao Pedro, Robert Sanchez, even Maresca himself. When you have these suspensions, plus the fact that Chelsea have missed Cole Palmer for large chunks of the season, they pretty much haven't had Levi Colwill all season. He's been out. After the Club World Cup, the poor guy got injured. And then even somebody like Liam Delap has missed large chunks of the season. So what is Maresca's option? He has to rotate. He has to play players in different positions. I actually feel like he's done a great job. Look on the left-hand side. At first he used Gins, but then when Gins was struggling, he switched him out to Garnacho. And it worked really well because he got some great performances out of Garnacho, and now Gins, coming on as a super sub, has gradually integrated a lot quicker than if he was just thrown into the deep end. Again, that's managerial work. That's what great managers do. And then I think the biggest testament to how good Maresca is the fact that in all of these big games, he just gets it right tactically. He got it right against PSG, exposing their left-hand side by overloading with those Malo Gusto overlap runs. He put Enzo Fernandez as the 10, put Palmer on the right, having him drift inside, and that completely caught PSG by surprise. And then of course it was the use of Sanchez's kicking to start these counterattacks. But that wasn't the only time. He also completely tactically outclassed Slot when Chelsea played Liverpool. Yes, this is not the best Liverpool side, but at that time, they weren't as bad as they are now. And Chelsea got the better of them, thanks to that Estevao goal in the last minute. And then he dominated Barca, completely outclassed Hansi Flick when it came to the tactical side. It was a genius move because he didn't go with a natural number 9 up front. He put Pedro Neto up there. And why it was perfect is it allowed Chelsea to have more runners, because Maresca knew that's how you expose this Barca high line. Because with Enzo Fernandez as the 10, Pedro Neto as a false 9, and then Garnacho on the left and Estevao on the right, Chelsea had 4 players that can make runs from deep. 4 players that could get him behind, and as a result they can make these deep runs from way ahead of the Barca back line so that they were rarely offside. And they completely outclassed these guys. I mean, it wasn't even close. But again, for me, it all goes back to Enzo Maresca. He's allowed Chelsea to be this team that can compete with the big boys. Yes, these guys are still inconsistent. I mean, how do you put 3 goals past Barcelona, but then you tie Karabakh? How do you beat the croissant lovers that is PSG, but then you lose to Manchester United? That inconsistency is just part of having a young team. When these guys have the confidence, they're playing at the highest level. When their confidence is low, they struggle. Chelsea struggled more against Burnley than against the champions of Spain. Now, I spoke earlier about how Maresca has made every single player better, and there's no better example of that than Enzo Fernandez. When this guy was originally brought in, I thought he was going to be a deep-lying playmaker, basically like an Argentinian Toni Kroos. I thought he was going to play next to Moises Caicedo when Caicedo eventually came, not right when Enzo Fernandez was signed. I thought he would play there and he would just dictate the tempo. But Maresca came in and he essentially realized Enzo's a lot better in the number 10 role. So this guy went from being a Kroos type player to Frank Lampard's regen. I mean, seriously, the goals and assists he has gotten in the past 2 seasons from being pushed further forward has been incredible. We saw it in the Conference League. We've seen it in a ton of big games. I'll never forget that goal he scored against Tottenham.
Fernandez! Turnaround complete!
He looks so much more comfortable, so much more agile. Before, he looked kind of fat. He looked slow. Obviously, a part of that had to do with, I think, he was carrying an injury. So after he got surgery, he's looked a lot freer. But he just looks more in shape, more athletic. And now that he's being allowed to push forward, he's helping Chelsea a lot with statistical output. You're seeing it all the time. He's crashing the box, and it's been a specific instruction from Enzo Maresca. Because remember, when Maresca first came in, Enzo wasn't playing. And the reporters kept asking him about it, basically forcing him to say some sort of a controversial answer. And he told the reporters, hey, we're Chelsea. We're going to be in a lot of competitions. There's a lot of games. And Enzo Fernandez is going to get his opportunities. And that's all it took, a little bit of patience. Now he looks incredible in that number 10 role, in that attacking midfield position. I mean, look at his stats. That's a lot of goals and assists from a player who wasn't necessarily supposed to be an attacking player. So he's looked absolutely fantastic. Then the guys behind him have been great. Moises Caicedo as a number 6 is never going to get the love he deserves unless he scores some sort of long shot. That's just how it is with holding midfielders. He got a lot of love after his banging strike against Liverpool, but the guys pretty much put together a 9 out of 10 performance every single week. He's so good at winning the ball back, so good at pressing, and he's gotten better and better on the ball. Now he's playing these line-breaking passes, he's finding runners in behind, something that he wasn't doing as well earlier in his Chelsea career. People forget this guy's young. He's still in his early 20s. He's naturally going to develop certain abilities more as he plays more and more games. Like, he didn't play that many matches at Brighton and in the Premier League before Chelsea made that big money move for him. So he's still kind of learning on the job, but you're seeing how good he can be. I mean, he breaks up play better than I think anybody else in the world. I don't think anybody is as good at just taking the ball from attackers. I saw this post from Lavia the other day and it made me chuckle because this is how Caicedo is. You always have to have your head turning because he's so quick at closing you down. Again, I hate pointing back to the Club World Cup match, but what he did to Vitinha was just insane because no other midfielder would ever even get close to that guy. He was the 3rd best player in the world. He was on the Ballon d'Or podium. He was the best midfielder. And Caicedo made him look like a chump. We saw the same thing against Barca. He had Frankie de Jong just spinning for no reason. That's how good he is. He puts the best midfielders in the world, some of the most technical players out there, he puts them under pressure, he makes them crack. Next to him, Reece James is just the best. I mean, I can't praise this guy enough. He can play right back, he can play center back, he can play as a holding midfielder. And the funny part is, wherever he plays, he's another player that gives you a 9 out of 10 performance. I really feel like him, Moises, and Enzo are pretty much the foundation of this team. Obviously, Cole Palmer's still the best player, but these guys have been there through everything. And Reece has been terrific. He bullies teams, he outpaces them, but he's also so good technically. Now, to be honest with you, I'm a little bit surprised that Maresca doesn't play Andre Santos more and then play Reece James at right back instead of having that croissant lover Gusto constantly playing. I think it's something that Maresca wants to do to keep Reece more healthy. If he's not playing right back all the time, his body won't be under that much stress from constantly making overlap runs. That's my guess. Maybe if I research more, maybe he said something about it. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments. Because every single time I've watched Andre Santos play, that guy's a freaking beast. He's aggressive like Moises, but he's also so good on the ball. Like, those two together destroy you. Literally go and look at Joao Pedro's goal against Tottenham. That doesn't happen without Caicedo pressing. And Andre Santos plays with that same level of intensity. But again, back to Reece James, the guy's fantastic. I think when he plays at right back, he's easily one of, if not the best right back in the world. I know people are going to talk about Hakimi and Jurrien Timber, but Reece James, he's right up there with them. The only issue, the only weakness in his game was injuries, but I think Maresca and his team have done a great job in keeping this guy healthy. And that's all Chelsea fans want. If Reece James is healthy, he's a beast. There is no other glaring weakness or issue in his game. He's fast, he's strong, he's good on the ball. What more can you ask for from your captain? He's a real leader. So I'm just glad to see him playing in successive games, because for a while I thought this guy was just going to be constantly on the hospital bed. So it's good to see him in the mix, in the action, wearing the armband. Now, as good as those guys are, we have to talk about the Wonder Kid. Estevao is just different. Palmeiras fans, Brazil fans, they all tried to tell us. They said this guy was the best player coming out of Brazil since Neymar. They said he was a generational talent. And now you're seeing it on the biggest occasion. He's the third teenager to score in his first 3 Champions League starts. The first 2 being Mbappe and Haaland. So he's in great company, like elite company. The goal against Barca, it was outrageous. It looked almost identical to the goal he scored against Chelsea in the Club World Cup.
No, the goal from Estevão reminded me of the goal he scored against us in the Club World Cup. That is very similar, same action.
He completely cooked Cucurella and Balde and then put a top bins at the near post with his weaker right foot. Now everybody's going to talk about this because this is his moment. Big Champions League night at Stamford Bridge against Barcelona. It's the moment that everyone's going to remember. But this guy's been playing so well even before that. He scored the winner against Liverpool. He looked incredible against Wolves. Like, he's been great, but it's good that he got his moment. Because all these youngsters, they have that one moment that puts them on the map for everybody to see. And this game was a big one. More people are watching Chelsea versus Barcelona on a Champions League night than they're going to watch Chelsea versus Burnley or Chelsea versus Wolves. So the fact that he outplayed Yamal with the entire world watching, it was so good for him. Everybody now knows what he's capable of. And Brazilians tend to do well at Chelsea, but this guy, he's on another level. Like, we're not talking about Willian, who was very good for Chelsea. Estevao is a superstar type player. And keep in mind, he's been doing this without Palmer. So when Palmer comes back, they're going to have an even better synergy because they're both creative players that can find each other. And that's really important. But now Chelsea fans don't have to worry when Palmer gets injured. They have a guy who can step up, and he's done it multiple times. Now, speaking of Yamal, that brings me to Marc Cucurella. What a redemption story for this guy, honestly. From being labeled as a massive flop when he first came to Chelsea, people really thought that Chelsea were money laundering with Brighton because he was worth nowhere near the fee. But now, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. On top of the fact that this guy's one of the greatest rage baiters I've ever seen. I mean, seriously, every winger he plays against and any team he plays against, somebody loses their cool at one point. Against Barca, it was Araujo. Against Bayern, I swear even Olise lost his nonchalant gimmick. This guy just pisses people off. They want to pull his hair, they want to punch him, and that's what makes him so good. He's very feisty, he's very aggressive. The way he defends is actually very Ashley Cole-esque in the fact that he's so aggressive, that low center of gravity, the fact that he's constantly pulling on the attacker's shirt, making life uncomfortable for them. That's how Ashley Cole used to defend. Now, of course, Ashley Cole is a much better left back than Cucurella is. I'm just noticing a similarity in their playstyles. And Yamal wasn't the first winger to fail the Cucurella test. He also locked up Mohamed Salah, he locked up Ousmane Dembele, he made life very difficult for Doué. Because remember, PSG, their wingers and front 3 constantly rotate. So somebody like Dembele might not start on the right, but he ended up there in some parts of the game, and Cucurella still locked them up. So I think this guy deserves a lot of love, because at one point, he didn't look that good. I don't want to do that whole thing where as soon as somebody starts performing, we forget all about his bad performances. I mean, you guys remember how many times he slipped against Tottenham? How many times he would be exploited defensively? But all of that, it's gone out the window. Under Enzo Maresca, he's been so much better. He's been used as an inverted fullback. He's been asked to overlap, underlap. He's even been a box-crashing left back. I mean, last season, he got a ton of goals. And that was because of 2 factors. Number 1, Enzo Maresca using him in a more forward role, asking him to get into the box, come in late, make these late runs. And then the second factor is that Cucurella is a good player. He's worked very hard. He hasn't just been good for Chelsea. He was incredible for the Spain national team during the Euros. There's a reason Chelsea paid that big transfer fee for him, and he's finally justifying it. The other players have also done well. I think Garnacho has put together some really good performances. Garnacho, as much as I like to make fun of him on this channel, he's not actually a bad player. It's helped that he's left Manchester United because those guys overhyped him too much. I think Chelsea fans are a lot more down to earth about his performances. They know that sometimes you're going to get really good performances like what he did against Wolves, where at one point he looked like Gareth Bale. But they also know that some games he's not going to be nearly that good. And it's fine because at Chelsea he can afford to be inconsistent. Nobody's relying on Garnacho to win them games. Certainly not Chelsea. They have much better players who will take the pressure and take the responsibility when it comes to winning and losing games. So when Garnacho has a great game, it will look well. If he has a bad game, it's not the end of the world because he can be subbed out for Gins. Pedro Neto can play there. And again, Chelsea are not relying on him the way Manchester United were. Manchester United saw this guy as like the second coming of Cristiano Ronaldo. They thought it's this guy from their academy who was going to be a Ballon d'Or winner. That's just not who he is. Maybe he will eventually get there. I mean, people forget he's a very young guy. But to me, he's playing like what he's meant to be. A really good touchline winger that sometimes is going to give you really good performances. Other times he's very quiet. Then speaking of Pedro Neto, this guy has been a freak. I mean, he was incredible at the Club World Cup, and that momentum has gone into this new season. I've seen him play on the left, play on the right, even as a false nine against Barca. No matter the position, he's done really well. And Pedro Neto, he's very similar to Reece James in that the only weakness in his game, realistically, was injuries. Now, he has some other weaknesses too. Sometimes his decision making is off. Sometimes he gets that tunnel vision where he just sprints down and he doesn't look at other players. But for the most part, Pedro Neto is a very good player. He just has rarely played consecutive games. Again, because he has injury issues. So the fact that Chelsea have been able to keep him healthy, it's really good because he can actually build momentum and develop a better chemistry with his teammates and improve his abilities. Because being available is a huge asset on its own. Now, as good as Chelsea are, I told you guys they can be an inconsistent team. On any given day, they can beat the best teams. But on some days, they'll lose to teams or drop points in games that were very winnable. But overall, Maresca has Chelsea looking scary again. They look good on big Champions League nights. They look good in the Premier League, and that's what fans wanted to see. Because some of you guys, I feel like, have short-term memory. It wasn't that long ago when this team was 12th. It wasn't that long ago where they could barely win games. And now they're at the top of the table for the Premier League. They're a team that nobody wants to play in the Champions League. They're on the right track. And they have this young team that's only going to get better and better as they play more games, develop their abilities. I mean, think about it. They have multiple players with superstar potential now. You have Moises Caicedo, who's one of the best holding midfielders out there. You have Enzo Fernandez, who on his day is one of the best attacking midfielders out there. You have Cole Palmer, who can be the best player in the world at one point in the future. And then you have Estevao, who also has Ballon d'Or potential. This is a very good core group of players. They will still add to it, they will remove players, but they're only going to get better and better. And like I said, they've come a very long way from where they were when Bowley and Clearlake first took over the club. To see how they went from the mess that they were under Graham Potter to now a team that is both Premier League contenders and contenders in the Champions League, you have to check out this video right here.